If you're making any of the 5 mistakes I'm gonna go over in this video, then your movement is significantly worse than it has to be. Bad movement will make you easier to kill, as well as making it harder to kill others, so stick around to the end to make sure you aren't doing any of these mistakes. My name is Buster and I make educational Valorant content. If you like those type of videos, then feel free to hit the subscribe button. Reason 1 for why your movement sucks is that you're not using A and D to peek. This has to be the most common, yet least talked about mistake Valorant players make. Almost every player I see under Diamond moves around using WASD way too often. If you feel like you're losing a lot of aim duels, then this could very well be a big reason for that. Not peeking with A and D does multiple things. First off, you'll most of the time be exposing yourself to multiple angles when you peek using WASD. This, in combination with the fact that you're not actually peeking any of those angles properly, makes it especially bad. People can peek you from different positions and you're not ready for any of them. If you instead try to position yourself to where you can comfortably peek each spot using A and D, then you'll be ready to clear the angles as you peek them, as well as be exposed to less angles, which will make the distance you have to flick if you see someone a lot shorter. How you move around can actually have a significant impact on how well your aim is utilized, so try to give yourself the ability to A and D peek as often as possible. Reason 2 is that you're always sitting in common positions, which gives the enemies the peekers advantage, since those angles get cleared 99% of the time. Instead, you should incorporate more off angles. I'm not saying you should never hold common angles, they're popular for a reason, and if you have an operator, then it can often be the best choice. But always positioning yourself there is both predictable and gives the enemies the upper hand. Instead, maybe try to start off at an off angle and then fall back to a more common one, or perhaps jiggle a common position first to get information and then hold an off angle. The less predictable you can be with your positioning, the better. A lot of players die so quickly in the round that they don't even get the chance of doing anything, just because you're sitting duck in a common position. Reason 3 is that you're crouching too much. This depends a lot on your rank, and if you do it properly, then crouching can actually give the opposite effect and make you harder to kill. But in most cases, people have a bad habit of always doing it when they see an enemy. Crouching might seem like a good idea since it increases your accuracy, but it often backfires for a few reasons. In low ranks, the majority of players have bad crosshair placement, which means that they'll be looking at your chest. Now, what is that chest level when crouching? It's your head. And that means that their bad crosshair placement is now good, since you'll be crouching right into their bullets. Congrats. Not only that, but crouching also makes you slower and an easier target to hit, since you can't move around quickly and avoid the bullets. I like crouching sometimes when holding angles and when I think it's actually gonna benefit me, but most people just crouch out of habit. And that's what you want to try to stop doing. Reason 4 is that you're using the wrong peek for different scenarios. An example of this is wide peeking right into an operator or a site without any prior information of who's there. You always want to have an idea of what you're gonna face when peeking and then decide on what the correct peek is from there. If you know that there's been an operator holding a certain angle for 5 rounds in a row, then maybe try to bait out the shot before you go into peek. This can be pretty easily done with some sort of a shoulder peek. But let's say this angle is a very tight angle, then you might want to try the wide peek instead, since you'll probably have passed the angle when the operator actually gets the time to react. If you haven't seen or heard anyone on site, then maybe try to jiggle peek a few angles using the A and D tip I gave earlier. This makes it way easier to fall back if there were to be an enemy there, and you'll also be ready for every single position since you're jiggle peeking. Actively thinking about what the best peeking style is before you go for a peek will help you a lot. And once you've done that for a while, then you'll have gathered a good amount of experience and can now intuitively choose without thinking. The next reason is that you don't know any skill jumps. Now, skill jumps aren't just flashy jumps intended to look cool. What I'm talking about is being able to easily position yourself in advantageous spots and to get out of danger quickly. This can be done by simple jumps like getting on top of screens on icebox, or harder ones like the mid-box jump on split. Knowing at least some of these will for sure come in handy sometime, as there are situations where you'll be walled off or peeked from a certain angle and therefore want to get the high ground, etc. A lot of these are very easy to learn and are essential to know so that you have them ready for when they're needed. For more Valorant tips and tricks, check out the players on the screen. See you in the next video.